Welcome to Week 5 edition of the Coach's Show with Coach Will Compton. I'm Todd Robinson, along with our special guest Alex Green, junior wide receiver for the Hippos. And, boy, we had a fun one Friday night, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But Hippos finished non-district play 3-1. I think a great record considering the schedule that you had. You had a couple of teams that were top 10 and, obviously Steele and 6A top 10 and Liberty Hill top 10 team and 5A Division II. So it was and then obviously Converse Judson this past week. A tough schedule, come out of that 3-1, get ready for district play. And, boy, it was something else to kind of work through that meat grinder. I think it was nice having 3 straight home games. Certainly helped. Now we go on the road to start district play against Midway, and we'll touch on those guys here in just a little bit. This guy was a big part of the win Friday night. Alex had 2 big touchdown catches, has 258 yards catching or receiving on the year so far. If my stats are correct that I pulled, 4 touchdowns already. So, and a lot more to come the rest of the year. But let's talk just a little bit about the win over Converse Judson, Coach. It was one of those, I think, coming into the game. We knew it was going to be a tough game. Converse Judson, of course, just like Cibolo Steele, one of those perennial state powerhouses in Texas high school football. And I think the game, a lot of folks thought was going to be very competitive, and turned out to be that way. Got out to a 21-7 lead and then hung on by a thread.
Yeah. We, obviously they have some great playmakers. And, we came out, we were hitting on all cylinders in that first half and looked really, really sharp. And then defense played hard the second half. We got to make sure that we do a better job of coming out at halftime with our offense. And then finally put one together, drive together right when it counted with, 43 seconds left or something like that. And but, I mean, it was an all-around effort. I thought all 3 phases played really well. Tim did a great job with his punting early. Averaging 49 yards a punt, and so which is his high so far, and then obviously the big kick at the end, and so but all that was set up by defense getting a stop down there on the goal line and holding them to a field goal, and them missing their extra point.
Yeah, that was big.
Which was all those are huge, and then big catches by this guy in the first half, and just overall excited.
Yeah, it was one of those. It seemed like the Hippos came out and kind of like they have every game this year, really on fire and moving the ball well, offense performing well. Again, like I said, you're up 21-7 at one point. And then was it did Judson make some adjustments at halftime, or what were some things that kind of stalled the offense in the second half?
No, they didn't really make any adjustments. It was more just us. It was one thing here on this play, and then a different thing on another play, and just kind of a couple stops in a row and just kind of got flat. And that's something that we're going to work on this week, of really pushing that tempo and making sure that we're in shape as far as going into district, and that we continue those drives, and especially coming out focused out of halftime. Making sure that we're all on the same page of the adjustments that we're making, so that we're hitting on all cylinders when we come out.
I think you touched on it. The defense just really played great, and it seemed like they were called on time and time again, especially in the second half, to get some stops. And was it we threw a little bit of a different look at them to start the game, didn't we, defensively, than what they would have seen on film?
We did. We came out in a 3-3 stack. And, that was a little bit based on personnel. We had a couple guys injured. Mm-hmm. And so we looked at kind of what we had and, what's best for our kids. And so, that's always what we want to do, is make sure that we do what's best for our kids, instead of, beating our head against the wall trying to fit, what we've been doing with the personnel that we have. And so we came out with more of a 3-3 stack look, 3 high safety. And, I thought it worked really well. Obviously, we got some kinks to kind of figure out in there in the passing game. And but overall, defense only gave up 35 yards rushing, which is phenomenal.
Absolutely. Well, and I think when you do that, when you throw another look and you're successful with that one, now you've got future opponents. They got a lot of things to have to look at and think about, and they don't know what we're gonna do, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're able to get into really 3 different defenses right now without changing personnel and not changing our rules. And that's probably the biggest thing, is that we wanted something that would still fit into our rules. And, obviously we want number 10 running around free. He makes lots of tackles. So, I mean, he had a big night. Matthew Madrano had a career night for him. I think he had 14 tackles.
Yeah.
And Theo Anderson had a fantastic
Called
night as
his
well.
name a lot.
And he's one that's really been coming along. Love his new attitude that he has this year, and super proud of him so far.
And offensively, of course, Will Hammond just continues to excel, leading that offense.
Absolutely. He's we're still, I say it every week, we're still in that learning phase of where we're out there and we're learning, the different routes that we're running or the different ways to run routes or, how to read things. And, just sitting back there and talking with him about, hey, we're calling this, we're looking for this. And, me and Alex were just talking about a route today. We ran into a little different formation and things like that and talk about how to get through it without getting banged up. And, I think that's just the phase that we're in. We're still in that learning phase. We're still learning how to do all the ins and outs of our offense, and it's just going to continue to get better.
Well, and I guess in football, as in life, you're always learning, right?
Absolutely.
You never stop learning and never stop getting better. Well, I feel like one of the many reasons that Will is successful is this guy right here, right? I mean, Alex and Will Alex, y'all seem to really have developed a great chemistry together. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, Will's been my quarterback since we were in 8th grade, so we've been practicing, going on the weekends, just throwing the ball. When everyone else is sleeping, we're just getting up and working. So that 3 years of chemistry, it really shows on the field.
Y'all just kind of know. Do you ever step up to the line of scrimmage and kind of give him a look or something, and he knows that maybe you're going to do a little bit different than what the play call is, and you just kind of read each other's minds?
Definitely. Will looks at me, and I look at him, and I know the ball's coming, so I got to be ready.
It seems like one of the real go-to plays has been that little fade route that you guys run, and you've just been reaching up. Will puts that ball right on the money, and you're just reaching up, taking it right off the guy's helmet.
Yeah, we've been working on that since summer, and we work on the post in summer, and it's still not perfect, but we're getting there.
How has it been this year? And of course, you're a junior, and Will's a junior, so you guys have a whole nother year together after this one. Not to be looking ahead because we got a lot more football to play this year, but knowing that you've got a whole nother year and a half now with him, what do you think that does for you in terms of, because obviously a great receiver like yourself can make a quarterback look even better, and a great quarterback like him can sure help a receiver look even better. So, what do you think that does for both of you in terms of your futures and helping each other play at the next level?
I think we work hand in hand, like really good together because, I mean, he's throwing me the ball, I'm catching it, and then it also opens up other people. So when they bring the double team, we also have the left side of the field open. So it opens up Carson and Gary, and they eat too. I love that, and they eat too. Do you have a favorite route that you like to run? Probably the post.
The post? Okay. I don't know. That fade route's been pretty nice too the last few weeks. Do you and Will ever talk about, man, it'd be fun if we went to the same college together and played together even after high school?
All the time.
Do you?
Talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Going to the same college.
Is there a particular place that you guys say would be a fun offense to go play in and play together?
You're going to be happy about this. We've been talking about Tech.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. I'm happy about that. You need to change that shirt then. No, I'm kidding. They certainly have they got a great offense and a great offensive coordinator with Kitley out there. He's led the offense or the country in offense at Western Kentucky last year. I think he's going to do a lot of things. Yeah, I think that's where y'all need to go. So stop looking anywhere else. Now, as far as talk a little bit about just you're a junior, but at the same time, you're a team leader, right? And Coach and I, we talk, and I think everybody that I've had on the show so far, we talk about leadership and how important that is. And even as a junior, you have to be a leader, right? I mean, you were on varsity as a sophomore last year, so you kind of learned what that's like. So talk a little bit about your leadership and how important that is.
Yeah. So last year as a sophomore, I was kind of quiet, and I didn't really lead the team like I should have. And now this year, like, I love being a leader and like telling the guys, like, let's go, let's bring the juice in practice, because when we're dead in practice, we don't really do good, and then Coach Leonard gets on to us. So when we keep the juice, it's a good practice, and no one gets in trouble.
Coach, that's another question I was going to ask you. When you said Coach Leonard, you guys have had to also learn a new offense, and you've had to do that pretty quickly.
Pretty quick because we didn't have spring ball with them.
Exactly. So. How's that been, and what have you done to be able to kind of speed up that learning process?
I feel like we just need to learn it quicker. We have to learn a lot quicker because at the same time we didn't have spring ball with them. But I think the offense is doing really well and learning it, and we're still learning new stuff every week. So it's just a building process.
Going back to your leadership, so there's leadership on the field, and then there's leadership off the field, right? What does leadership off the field look like to you?
I think it's making sure everyone has good grades because school is more important than football, and school comes before football. So if we're not successful in the classroom, then we can't be successful on the field. So
that's great.
Making sure everyone's good in the classroom.
I noticed that you guys, I don't know if this kind of came from you or what, but it seems like these guys, as I look at their Twitter pages, most of these guys have really clean Twitter pages, and their biographical information on their Twitter page is all about, hey, here's my grades, here's my size, here's my recruiting number, all of that. Was that something you encouraged?
No, we talk about it, but it's one of those things. I think Coach LaPlante did a really good job of talking to these guys about recruiting, and then just a lot of these guys have been to camps and things like that, and everywhere you go, we've had Anthony Williams come down and talk to us with FBU, and just getting to understand that, your profile is public, and everybody's looking at what it's saying and what it's going out and what you're retweeting. And so, I think the more that, our athletes are able to understand that, the more that, they're able to get on there and use it as a platform for success as compared to, oh, man, back when he was in, 12 years old, he repeated this word and this word, and, now we don't need to look at it.
Right.
And so.
Well, in a lot of ways, they're marketing themselves now, especially in this day and age, not only of recruiting and recruiters are looking at all that, but NIL deals and all of those things. That's probably one of the first places that college recruiters are going to, right? Is they're going to their social media pages and checking those out.
Absolutely. Because it's a way for them to go. They can send them direct messages and things like that, invite them to camps, invite them to games. And, obviously it's a place for you to post your videos for the week and, your 4-game video for preseason and everything else. And then after that, it gets you, just a little bit of recognition going through.
Alex, as a team leader, do you guys ever see something that one of your teammates maybe posted that's questionable and call them out and say, hey, guys, you need to take that down?
Definitely. We've had to call people for putting GPAs that they probably shouldn't put in their bio, which I'm not trying to call anybody out, but we've had to do that a couple times. But they're getting their GPA up, and soon they'll be able to put it in their bio. But, yeah, if they're retweeting bad stuff, we tell them, usually in the group chat, to take it off.
Yeah, good.
Again, that's your profile. That's your recruiting profile right there, so you can't have anything negative on it.
Well, that's just part of being a good teammate, right? It's just taking care of each other and watching out for each other. Yeah, that's awesome.
These are the group chatness group that I've ever been around, as far as I think they got like 15 different group chats with.
Is that right?
That they all, and it's interesting, because you'll say, we'll be in our leadership meetings and be like, yeah, in the group chat we made sure that so and so was going to be here today, and so you can tell they're communicating with each other all the time, which is great.
Which is fantastic, because I would say teenage boys are probably not renowned for communication skills, right? So
Correct.
This is, it's kind of funny. Football, I've often said, and I know obviously you believe it, football is such a great preparation tool, if you will, for life, for the things you have to do in life, right? You have to learn to work together. You share successes, you share failures, all of those things. You grow together. But communication is important in life, and that these guys are using the tools they have to learn to communicate with each other is critically important.
Absolutely, and I think it's it's an accountability measure too that they've used, and that kind of started in the summer when we really started getting into it, as far as when we were running and just doing some of that conditioning about, hey, it's okay to hold this guy accountable if he's not going full tilt, and I think we've really bought into that, and it's kind of all the way through, all the way to clean up our locker room, huh?
It's just responsibility, right? It's just another of life's responsibilities.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go back to the game. So 21-7, they come back 21-14, and they make it 21-20. They miss that extra point, which, like you said, that's critical, because that just kind of changes everything, right? So it's 21-20, and dang, if they don't, of course, then we had an opportunity. Tim had an opportunity to kick a field goal at one point into that wind in the third quarter, and he missed it. And I asked him, I saw him last night, and I said, hey, I remember asking you on the show last week, do you ever try to kick it too hard? And it's kind of like golf. If you try to hit a golf ball too hard, you end up, shanking it or doing something bad with it. He was like, yep, exactly. He said that wind was blowing, and I tried to kick it too hard, and I just mishit it.
Yeah.
But so missed that field goal. Stays 21-20, and we're just hanging on by that thread. And then they drive down, and they fumble. They had it at the 1 yard line, and we were even talking like, golly, is this one of those where you let them score so you have time to go down and get a score yourself? And anyway, defense, they fumble it, and we have 4 guys that are right there on that ball, and that big lineman for them somehow came out with that fumble.
Yeah. So analytics actually said let them score.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so our guy on the sideline came to him and says, "Hey, right here it says, by the time and where they were location-wise, it said let them score." And I was like, "No, we're not letting them score."
You just can't do that, can you?
I was like, "That's not in my nature right there.
Yeah.
We can't let them score." So then the play after that, we get the fumble that sets them back a little bit, and then obviously they kick their field goal. We get it back with 43 seconds, and so with 0 timeouts because we had to burn 2 timeouts down there trying to chew the clock. So we didn't call the timeout on first down or the second down, and it's like that anxious thing where you're just sitting there, you're just watching it tick down because we needed it for the 3rd and 4th.
Correct.
To really try to stop the clock so they couldn't bleed us out towards the end of it.
So when when they go to kick off, and y'all are having your discussion about what we're going to have to do on offense, what was the goal? Was the goal to try to get to the 35-yard line, knowing Tim could make it from 52 with that wind at his back, or were you even what was your drop dead where we're going to try kick versus we're going to have to throw a Hail Mary?
So really the idea was to go score, and we're going to work the sideline and take it down from there. Gary was cramping in there, so he catches the first one and catches it inbounds. He's cramping. We try to run Brayton on. Brayton doesn't get all the way to the other side of the field.
It was just waiting. That clock's just burning while that's happening.
And so that's with the one that Will scrambles on, gets out of bounds on the other side. Then we come back and hit the sideline again this way. And at that point, I'm looking and I'm like, Coach Leonard's getting ready to call this play. I was like, all we need is 5. And so he changes it. He was about to run, I think, curl or gangster, and then switch it over and ran the quick out to the sideline. Gary catches it, gets out of bounds, and sets us up for that. But prior to that, I didn't tell any of the other ones, but Tim was like, just get it to the 38. I'm like, okay. So we were just we were looking, and all of a sudden I looked, and I was like, dude, we only need like 4 yards. And so completely changed the whole play call of really taking a shot with that, 13 seconds left.
Yeah.
We called that play, give us 7 at the end of it. Completely changed the play call right there to where we knew we were just going to go for it.
So during the drive, he came up to you and said, hey, get it to the 38 and I can be good from 55?
Yeah, pretty much. It was one of those things where as they were kicking off to us, he was like, yeah, to get to the 38. I was like, okay, I'm good for it.
So with that 11 seconds, and you said originally there was a thought of running like a curl or something. Mm-hmm. So was 11 seconds enough to have hit something? Oh, if they were going to cover up the outside, to hit something over the middle and get up and spike it in time?
We probably could have. What we were really doing was we would try to work the sideline with a pylon and a curl, maybe even the quick out that comes into that concept, something that's going to work from the hash out to where if we catch anything, we could get to the sideline. And so, but we ended up switching it up and just throwing the quick out.
And those guys, Alex and all the other guys knew. I mean, that's just good awareness, right? I mean, y'all knew you have to get out of bounds because if you get tackled in bounds, that clock's probably going to run out and Tim's not going to get shot, right?
Yeah, every Thursday we do a team period where we work on getting out of bounds, 2-minute drill. So we were prepared.
Yeah. Does it surprise you in a quick drill like that? I mean, it's a 2-minute drill, but it's a 49-second drill. in a thing like that the defense is given that much room on the boundaries?
It's one of those things where I think they went to their pre-vet defense and they're thinking they're not going to sit there and walk it down the field with 40-something seconds left and just take the 5 to 10 yard passes and get down the field. And that's one of those things where if we as offensive coordinators and head coaches, hey, take what they give you. If they're going to give you the short into the sideline, get what you can get out of bounds. Get what you can get out of bounds. And if we do that, we're going to be successful. All the way down the field.
And it's I think other things that people don't always think about when you're down in a situation like that, like you can't get a penalty either.
Nope.
Because then you get a 10-second runoff on the clock because you're out of timeouts. So, I mean, you have to these guys have to execute almost perfectly, right, to be able to have that chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Alex was talking about, every Thursday we do in our play the game, we have our family fun, and we have our play the game where we walk through the whole situations, and we usually start around the 30. And I'll say usually it's like a minute 29, one timeout or something like that. But we work the whole situations as far as the kill, as far as getting everybody getting on the ball and spiking it right there. And so I think if you prepare for those situations, then when you come out and you need to execute them, you're going to be better off.
Alex, what's going through your mind when you guys are making that last drive and just your play, and then you got to run back and line up quickly and get set? And I mean, are you just kind of so focused and so in the zone at the moment of here's what we have to do, and are you ever glancing up at the clock to see how much time's left?
I would say like we're so locked in, and we knew we were going to win that game. We knew the offense knew when we got in the huddle, we're like, we're going to win this football game, and that's what we did. So we knew that we had to get out of bounds, we had to get to the line quick, and we couldn't make any penalties. So that's what we did.
What do y'all say when because I guess you really only huddle up one time because every other play is then no huddle and kind of scrambling. But when you had that first huddle, are you all looking at each other and saying, basically, let's do this?
Yeah, so Will got us together, and he was like, you know what? I don't care how much time's left. We're going to go down there and score, and we're going to win this game. And that's what we did.
That's what a leader does, right?
That's what a leader does.
And now people buy in even more if it happens again. So obviously, Tim's standing there on the ready, waiting to run in. What's going through your mind now when you get it to that 35-yard line and it's time for him to kick?
I was fairly confident. I know you asked me earlier, about whether or not I was thinking about the miss, and that really didn't even cross my head. I knew he just missed that one.
Yeah.
That was just like he came to the sidelines. I was like, dude, you leaned and pulled on it, and he's like, yeah. And so it was one of those things where Tim seemed confident about where he needed to go. Have complete confidence in Tristan, Brody, him, that little combination as far as the snap and the hold. So really it was just about can we get it on that hash? Can we get it to where we need to be? And now let's let everything, let's see what happens. And I was thinking, I was like, man, there's going to be 2 seconds left. That was
Sure.
That was literally what popped in my head. I was like, 7 seconds. I was like, not enough time to run another play, to get closer,
right.
Considering all things. And, I didn't want to Mike McCarthy it up again.
Right.
And, so made sure that, I was like 7 seconds, fine. We'll squib off the next one and we'll be okay.
When he kicked it, did you feel like that's good? Like, did you know that was good?
Oh, absolutely. As soon as it was up, it was going kind of at the right pylon, knowing that he has a draw in there. And so he just kind of fell right in. And then the celebration started. And the bad thing about that, we're celebrating, we're jumping up and down, and everybody's screaming. The lights are going off and on. And then I'm like, man, we got to kick off. We got to have the kickoff team out here. And just trying to get everybody back, locked back in for one more play, which ended up being 2 more plays.
Okay, so that was crazy. So field goal's good. Everybody's going nuts. Is at that before you ever even made it? Did you already know we're kicking deep versus we're squib kicking? Did you have a conversation with Coach Gaylor? What was the thought behind what you do there? Because obviously there's lots of different thoughts.
We wanted to go with a squib. It got a little bit deeper than what we wanted. We wanted it on the ground because we didn't want him to fair catch and be able to have another play. Mm-hmm. So we wanted it on the ground. We wanted to be able to cover. But it ended up getting back to their best player at the very back end of it. And, and then after that, it's all, guys like Maurice Durrett, who's the human missile running down there. And then we had several guys, just great job of containing, actually running lanes and not bottling up in the middle or everybody running the ball.
Not letting them get outside.
Absolutely. You know, so that was good. Whenever they tried to reverse it and then end up in the end zone, then try to throw it back the other way. And, I'm like, it's like, oh, man, just didn't want to see that happen.
And then at what point did you realize there was a penalty for offsides on the kickoff?
I didn't. I'm not gonna lie. I was,
You were celebrating.
I was celebrating
the safety and the win.
And I'm excited and everything else. And then I see the referee blowing the whistle and talking to me. And I was like, oh, And looking at it, it wasn't as bad as what it was made out to be. But
It was pretty close.
it is what it is. And so when they explained it to me, and this was clutch, is that they come over and they explain it. They're like, we're gonna have one untimed down.
Right.
And in that you have to be smart as well, because in an untimed down, if we would have sky kicked it and they fair caught it, they still would have got there.
So that was going to be my question for you. If the kick counts as that untimed play, or
because no time would have went off the clock if there would have been a fair catch.
So really, and really, the Judson kid should have stepped out of the way and let that kick go out of bounds.
Yes.
Because they would have had a play from scrimmage.
They would have had a play from the line of scrimmage, and so we put out our hands team and we went with the onside, just because we were hoping same thing, catch it and you're falling down,
right,
and then game's over. And that's what Coach Soto was pretty upset about, as he tried to talk to the referees after the game, but. We're excited we come up with a win. If
the kid had so here's a hypothetical question. If he had been on his knee, if he had already been on his knee when he caught it, would they have been able to run a play?
I really don't think they would have. I think it would have been untimed down.
Because I don't know, because the clock wouldn't really start, right?
It wouldn't really start.
So they would have probably gotten one play.
I had a guy call me. He's like, man, if it would have fair caught it, then you would
right.
have had to do that.
You would have had one
play.
play.
I haven't heard anything about whether or not, he dribbles it up there and he just catches it on the ground, whether or not that had been the untimed down or not. So I guess I'll never know. Hopefully I'll never be in that situation again.
Yeah, there was a lot of, obviously, as people do when they're watching games, broadcasting games, whatever, before that kick, there's a lot of like, okay, what if? Should we do this? Should we just kick it deep? What should we do? And in the end, it turned out fine because the kid, fell on it. Glad he didn't just step out of the way and let it go out of bounds, because then they would have had a Hail Mary throw from about the 50-yard line.
Yeah, and I mean, it was actually a really good onside. I thought it was actually, set up really well, and we had our speed guys right there. So, there's still a chance that, we could have ran down on it and be able to keep it in bounds and things like that. So, in the end, excited about the way it turned out.
And Tim is still 1 yard short of the school record for field goals. I think Jared Haynes still holds that from 2014, I think. Mm-hmm. Jared had a 53-ish yard field goal. So Tim told us last week that his goal is to have the record for the field goal. So at some point during the year, I'm sure you guys are going to find a chance to let him take a shot at it.
Oh, man, the way he kicked right there, I mean, it's one of those things where if you get in that situation, it's such a weapon to have. Because it changes your complete thought process knowing that you got a guy that can, put it in from 50.
Alex, what was when all that was all going on? What were you thinking? Were you just like, this is crazy?
I had full confidence in Tim. I really did. I knew we were going to win as soon as Tim stepped up there. He stepped up there with confidence. He wasn't nervous at all, and I was like, we're going to win this game.
And then what about afterwards during the whole the kickoff and then having to kick it again?
Well, when Tim made the kick, I was celebrating. I was running all the way down the field and back, and then Coach Comp was like, you're on hands team, go out there. And I'm like, I don't even know where to go because I'm so excited. So I just go out there and just run. So it was crazy.
That's a fun way to win. We've had a lot of dramatic wins, or a few dramatic wins in the last few years here at Hutto Memorial Stadium, and that one certainly ranks up right at if not the top, it's in the top three. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was fun, and again, I think. Alex, no pressure on you, but Tim was on the show last week and obviously had such a great game. So, we're expecting another great game from you this week.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, I got a question. This has nothing to do with the game. It has to do with the last 2 weeks. What's with all the helmets coming off? We have had so many helmets come off the last 2 weeks.
Some of it is the chin strap.
Yeah,
so
that was our guess.
Yeah, it's the SpeedFlex helmets. Which are the ones that, majority of the kids want and things like that. Some of the chin straps, they get stripped as far as the vinyl on the side. Mm-hmm. Well, then it slips.
Okay.
And so there's a slippage in there. Or it has a little bead at the very end that keeps it from sliding out the little push button that you go from here. And one of them, like the little knob fell out. And so basically the chin strap would come all the way out. And so we had to tape those up on the sidelines. And so it's an easy fix. But, yeah, we've had a couple helmets come off. There's been several hands to the face against our kids that are.
So a little help with them coming off.
Maurice's last week was taken off his head, and Bass last week his was a slipping, and so we taped it after the second time after we figured it out. and getting them from there.
We quit counting in that Steel game. I think we were up to about 10 at some point. And
That was Bass's on that one. Bass, and then Maurice got his ripped off, and then a couple of the defensive linemen and stuff like that. But that's some of that's to me was hands to the face. It was things that should have been corrected, but.
And the bad thing is when it comes off like that, even if it wasn't because of a big hit or something, those guys have to come out for a play.
Yeah, they do, unless it was ripped off by the defense, and they can stay out there. But obviously they're saying, oh, it just came off.
All right, so again, finished 3-1 non-district play. Get ready to move into district play, and I tell you, our district. I was looking this morning. I mean, you have Midway, who we play this week. They're 0-4. Everybody else is either 2-2 or 3-1. So everybody had a really good, and there were a lot of tough teams that our district played in non-district play. But as you get ready to move in that after these first 4 games, you've been here now for 3 months. What's your takeaways? What are some of your main takeaways and things you've learned about this team?
As far as our team or
our team,
they're very resilient. And, we talked about, through that Steel loss, we learned a lot about ourselves. We learned how to fight and compete when things are not going our way, which, I think, if we hadn't lost the Steel one, we'd have probably lost the Judson one because we'd have fell apart when things kind of stalled out, for us there in that second half. And, the sidelines were great. Everybody was still communicating. Obviously a little bit of frustration because we couldn't get it rolling, but we didn't fall apart. We didn't come away from each other. And so I think that the resiliency of this group is fantastic. We're continuing to get better. As far as in all phases, offense, defense, special teams, and then coaches are getting more comfortable as well. Coach Mullins is a new defensive coordinator. Coach Leonard's is first one in Texas, and so I think all the way around, me, head coach, and just learning all the things that we have to learn about each other as we're going through, and then pushing guys and challenging guys to continue to get better. And I'm just excited about the way that they're responding and the way that they're moving forward.
Yeah, and you're still, we talk about learning, guys learning to play together and coach together and all that, but you're also learning. You're still in that learning phase of how do you handle certain players, right? I mean. Mm-hmm. I had a grandfather who was coach for many, many years, basketball coach. And I remember him telling me when I was growing up and I thought maybe I wanted to be a coach, he said, man, 75% of coaching is psychology, of understanding the minds of your guys and knowing which guys you need to kick in the rear and which ones you need to pat on the back and when to do those things. And, so you're still learning how these guys are going to respond to different styles of coaching, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's – trying to find that happy medium in there. I haven't yelled at a single person yet. I'm just more of one of those huggers.
Is that right, Alex?
That's right, for the most part.
No, it's a balancing act. I think that you've got to be able to coach kids hard, and that's what I tell our coaches, that we're going to coach them hard, but we are going to take the time to go back in and talk to them, put our arm around them, and explain it from there. And usually on Friday nights, it's not the yell time. You just kind of, hey man, we need to do this and this, shake it off. That's all right. Hey, let's get on the next one. Mm-hmm. You can get another shot and things like that.
Alex, what's your takeaways from playing these first 4 games as you go head into district play?
I'm really excited. Our offense is getting better every week. Our defense is really, really good. I like our defense. They're an older group of guys, seniors, so they're veterans. They're really good. They play good together.
So as you look at district, I know right now you're probably just focusing on Midway, but as you look at the district as a whole, I mean, not a lot of gimmies, is there?
No, and that's what we talked about, at the very beginning, I think in the pre-show, is that this is a very, very competitive district all the way up and down. And then even though Midway right now has an 0-4 record, they've lost to 2 undefeated teams and 2 3-1 teams. And so they've played a very, very tough pre-district schedule. And so I think they got a great athlete that they are probably going to work in there at quarterback, big offensive line. And so I think they'll lean on them a little bit. And we just got to make sure that we come out and we execute and be 1-0 this week, and then basically go to our off week and then figure it out from there.
Well, and they're another program that historically they've been very successful at Texas high school football. So they're gonna try to rise to the challenge, and that's important for them. And it's a fresh start for them too, right? 0-4 in non-district means nothing once you start district play.
Absolutely. They beat us. I was the OC at John Tyler in 2011. I believe it was 2011 when they went to the state championship. They had Mulkey's son was the quarterback, and they beat us in the semifinal game. And so this will be the first time I played them since then. So
you've been hanging on to that for 10 years.
I have. I mean, it's so tough to get to quarterfinals, semifinals, and so I've been to the quarterfinals twice and the semifinals once, and as a coordinator, and so it's just one of those things where it's right there, and you think. And I didn't like our matchup with Midway at the time, actually. I thought we matched up better versus Lake Travis than we did Midway. But, and their coach was an assistant on that staff. Coach Anderson was. And so me and him were talking about that the other night. And it's just going to be a fun atmosphere, great time for us to go back out and, be 1-0, start district off the right way.
Alex, you ready to go on the road? Been at home for 3 straight weeks.
I'm ready.
Ready to go take a road trip?
I'm ready. I'm actually ready.
Yeah, good. So Midway, what are a couple of highlights or things to watch for offensively and defensively? What can we expect?
Offensively, everything that they do revolves around number 2. He's a dynamic player. He plays some quarterback, comes in, some running back, does some wide receiver, and he's their guy that really makes that offense go. And so in that, they have a very big offensive line, so they do a good job of coming off and running their schemes. Defensively, Mike linebacker is really good. And then they had a safety, number 4. I think he had like 17 tackles last week. Did a really good job. And so, but I like our matchups on the outside. I think that, overall, in the end, it just comes down to us executing and being who we are.
You started the season with a road game and been at home for 3 straight. So now you go back on the road. Do you have to kind of rethink, okay, what's our road routine? What are the things we need to do and the order we need to do things, and what's our time of when we need to do all those things?
What we try to do is you have to adjust the first part of it, and that's probably the thing I did on Sunday as far as calculating it back, because the main thing that we want to do is at 5:10 we want to go outside and walk the field and basically go outside and play catch for a little bit and relax. And so we want everything up and from 5:10 forward to be the same, whether we're at home, whether we're on the road, everything else. And then you just adjust your times at the front part of it to figure out, all right, so do we need to get out at 2 o'clock so we can do our pregame lift and meals and then hit the road, or is it, 2:15 or 2:45, whatever it may be. So it's just adjusting that time, making it up to that 5:10 time.
And allow 4 hours to drive I-35.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about that.
I'm kidding. No, hopefully that'll all be fine. At some point they're going to get that road fixed, and it'll be. The good news is Waco Midway is on the south side of Waco, so you don't have to go through all that craziness of Waco to get there. So at least you can get there before all the construction hits. Okay, one thing before we wrap up, Angela Bueno wants me to give shout outs to the team dinner sponsors, and those are folks that's important every week, right? These guys on Wednesday, is it Thursday nights? Thursday nights that come and feed the team and make sure they're all taken care of. And
absolutely.
So the first 5 weeks, it's been Hutto Young Life week number 1, New Hope Christian Church, the Honeycutt family, Julio's Mexican restaurant, and I think this week is Mr. C's Pizza.
Yeah, Tony C's.
Tony C's pizzas. So which is good.
It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but give a little shout out just on those folks in general and what they do for your team.
No, it's our Thursdays. We have our devotional where we go in there. We usually have a speaker come in and talk to our kids. It's a great time from 5 to 5:30, and then we like to have our team dinner. I always call it a family dinner. So that you go in there, you have a meal together, and then they can all come out and watch the sub-varsity games. So whether it be parents or businesses, it's just awesome that everybody's chipping in and wanting to do something with the kids. Just because it's a special time. We've had a great turnouts on Thursday nights, and also I'm gonna give an extra shout out to Mr. Banks and the Breakfast with Champions, which has been phenomenal in the mornings. And so just everybody as far as community, our parents, Booster Club, and everybody, chipping in to make this a great experience for our athletes is it makes this place a special place.
And that's what it takes, right? I mean, it's obviously everybody sees the final product on the field on Friday night, but all the things that go in to preparing for a Friday night game, from the breakfast stuff, from the people helping with the dinners, the booster club, and all that they do, and then the other unsung workers on Friday nights, the concession stand folks and the security people and the gate workers and the ticket takers. I mean, it's a big deal.
There's a lot to it, and I think Chris, as stadium manager, Chris Elquist does a great
job. Absolutely.
Of being there and communicating. Coach LaPlante's been jumping in and helping out as well. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It takes a whole village to get a Friday night game going. From the people that help park the cars in the parking lots, the concession stand workers, to people running the stereo up here, to clock and everything else. It's a big production, and it's one of those things where kind of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all we really think about is the grind on the football field, and then Thursday, Fridays, actually, those are two of my most enjoyable days. I get to watch the sub-varsities play, and then I love our family fun when we go out there and then watching these guys try to hit a wiffle ball baseball, or we brought out a new one. We had the kickball dodgeball the other day. That was a new one for us. Med ball volleyball has been one that was a lot of fun, and so seeing that part of it, just a little competition and having a little fun, and then being able to lock in and get better at what we do. And then Friday morning we had the breakfast with dads, our breakfast with champions. We have several of our dads that come in there, and they had some delicious biscuits on Friday.
Oh, wow.
Those things were good. And
nice.
One of my former players come up and give haircuts, and so
I noticed that. I wondered who was doing that.
Yeah, that's Bishop Durst. So
okay.
He was a quarterback for me at Conroe Oak Ridge, and he actually lives here in, I guess, the Round Rock area. Him and his brother live together, Jamarcus Durst, who played for the University of Texas.
Yeah.
He got a full ride as a walk-on. They had the big production about him for all of his charity stuff. He got the walk-on scholarship. I want to say that may have been Herman's last year. And, just two great kids, and, he wanted to do something for the kids and be part of the team. And so, he has a good following in there,
So they just line up, and he just cut after
the
cut?
The line is crazy.
Is that right?
Yeah. You got to get there early.
How many can he do in one
I think he's been
morning?
doing 8 to 9.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. Has he done yours yet?
Not yet.
No.
So
I get a haircut every Tuesday, so kind of.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday.
Do you really?
Yes,
That's
sir.
why your hair looks so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But no, the lines. There's some people that can't even get haircuts because the line is so long.
That's funny.
He's telling them no, next week.
Yep. And so it's
That's
it's
great.
fun.
I love that.
That was a leadership team. That was something that they wanted to see if we could get a game day barber in there. And so I was like, okay. And then it just happened that Bishop came to one of our summer workouts, him and his brother, and we were able to set that up. And it's a fun little deal. And again, the Thursday dinners are phenomenal. I heard the pasta was really, really good with the honey cuts pasta. So I didn't get any.
Good.
They didn't save you any?
No, they didn't give me any. So, but I think that's a good time for them.
Sure.
Kind of away from the coaches and things like that. And then I like to come out here and watch the freshmen. And finally, I'm gonna get to see the JV first time in 3 weeks. And so.
Oh, it's true, because we've been at home for 3 weeks, so they've been on the road.
They've been on the road, so I have to just watch those games off of film. So finally, we'll get to watch them and be excited. Hopefully, they get their first win of the season.
Yeah. Well, we are excited about getting district play going. It's hard to believe that after this Friday, we'll be halfway through this regular season already. It's flown by. We got some big ones coming up. Starts this Friday night at Waco Midway. Obviously, we want the Hippo Nation to make that drive up. It's about 70 minutes to get up there to Waco Midway and make that drive and support. We've told you before, oftentimes Hutto fans outnumber home fans at road games. So we'd like that to be the case again. If you can't make it, then you can watch it on watchthehippos.com. We'll bring it to you live as we do every Friday night at 7:30. Alex, thanks for joining us this week. Have a great game this Friday night and a great rest of the season as well. Coach, we'll be back here next Tuesday and talk about a 1-0 district start over Waco Midway. All right, everybody, have a great